What's up, everybody? It's Sparrow with a Gun here from Sleepless with another episode on Elite Dangerous. We're starting things off today in the Galaxy map, a little different than normal, because I've actually run into a bit of an issue. So before I started this episode, I was trying to get our route mapped out. As you can see, I'm doing a lot of copy and pasting from the neutron router. Now, I've seen a couple of routes online that were not as jump-to-jump precise as this. They were more like a ballpark, just you can kind of have like 50 points along the whole way instead of like hundreds. But I like the whole direct route thingy-mabobber. But I ran into a bit of an issue, and that is I've got all these points mapped out to about... let's just grab a star here. About 3,900, so roughly about 4,000 light years away from our current location. Yeah. But I've noticed this. So I went further out, where, you know, hypothetically, wherever it is, and I noticed the bookmark location is red, and it won't let me bookmark. Now, this happens every once in a while, but usually if I move the controller a little bit and snap it back onto a star, eventually it loads back in, but it's not doing that. So although it doesn't tell you in the bookmarks thing, I don't see another reason other than I've run out of bookmarks. That's the only thing I can think of. So basically, that's kind of a let me know what you guys think. For those of you that are familiar with the systems and everything and the inner workings of Elite, which I am not, let me know what you guys think about that as far as, is that what it is, or is there some kind of glitch thing going on that I've got that I didn't know about? Because my money's on I've run out of bookmarks. It's weird that I don't see any, you have X amount of bookmarks left. That's why I'm skeptical of that, that's all. It's mainly just because I don't know how that works. Now, I did repair my frameshift drive, so we have about 3,700 left in our auto field maintenance units, which, I don't know, we were down to about 80 something. I wasn't really paying attention, if I'm being honest. So we were down to about 80 something on our FSD, but I don't know how much of the, oh crap, I don't know how much of the fuel that it took. Not fuel, ammo of the auto maintenance units. I don't know how much that took. So, you know, I think it was somewhere, I think we were somewhere around 4,200 in our maintenance units the last time I checked, in the last episode. But I don't know for sure. So I'm estimating that roughly about 10% or more, let's say like 88 or something, so let's say like 12% repair on an FSD, I'm guessing is somewhere about 500 on the maintenance units. And this is something that I kind of have to keep an eye on because it will affect me going back. Because, you know, whichever way I go, I probably need to go back that way. I don't know. I'm mixed. Again, I don't know if the whole... I didn't get a lot of comments on that in the last episode of whether or not the Freewinder is actually a legitimate thing or not. Or if they patched it. So, I don't know. If that's a viable option, I'd hate to lose all this data. So part of me wants to kind of at least go back to Colonia. And then, you know, go from there. But I don't know. Part of me wants to do that, but the part of me that wants to be done with exploring would probably just self-destruct and get a Freewinder. I don't know. Again, I'll have to do... If I can't get any confirmation through, like, the comments or something, I'll just have to, when it gets closer to that point in time, I'll just have to end up looking it up and see what we get, kind of thing, because I don't like to think that I'd have to do all this to get back. I mean, it makes sense. It's kind of that whole, you know, self-inflicted difficulty, if you will, as far as, like, you were the knucklehead that went journeying off into the center of the universe kind of thing. Now this is interesting. We're at a neutron star system, but there's other planets and things. I think that's the first one that I've seen do that, where they have other planets or stars around a neutron star. I could be wrong. It wouldn't be the first time, but... So yeah. But that's kind of something that I ran into this episode, where I was trying to get a little bit more progress done off camera, and get the route mapped and all that kind of stuff, so we could just jump and do and all that kind of crap. And yeah. Wow, this one put us far out. And yeah, it pretty much turned into... Have I run out of bookmarks? I think I run out of bookmarks. So I'm pretty sure that's what happened, because normally... Oh, come on. Normally, if the bookmark is red, it usually fixes itself in, you know, like I said, you kind of maneuver the controller around or whatever, or mouse or whatever, and you get it back on the... Ooh, I do not want to push on the throttle while going towards it. Why are we moving towards it? So, you know, there's that, but it didn't do that for me this time. It just, like, nope, no more bookmarks for you. Wow, that took a minute. So yeah, it's a drudge. It's a drudge, I will admit. I will say, I think overall, we did the calculations the other day, or a couple episodes back, and the neutron route is definitely faster if you're handling it the same way that you're handling regular jumps, like, you know, my normal jumps of fuel scooping and jumping and all that stuff, and not really like scanning each and every star and all that kind of stuff. If you handle this the same way of jump in, honk your horn, get the extra jump distance, and then go, you know, I think we said, we added roughly about 500 more light years to our progress, and it was less time of an episode. I think it was like a 30-minute episode rather than a 40 or so. So, overall, it is still faster because you're doing more in less amount of time. And quite honestly, like I said before in my last video, at some point, if I get back into, you know, binge watching a show or something like that, I will Ooh. Get out. Uh-oh. Get out. Ooh. That took a little longer than I meant for it to. It always makes me nervous. I have not blown up. Knock on wood, river don't rise, good Lord willing, all that stuff. All the things that are supposed to prevent jinxing. Because, you know, that always happens. You're like, I have never done this. Well, now you have. Never say never. So yeah, I mean, I've never actually blown up to a neutron star yet.
Frameshift drive charged.
But now wait a minute. Oh well, whatever. It's the route. I don't know why I'm wasting this jump on 39. Alright, hold on. I gotta double check. We should have about 120 light year jump range, so I don't know why we're only going 39. I mean, it is the route. I did the route. But it's probably because this one's much further. Yeah, I don't think I can make that. 147. Yeah, that's too far out. That's why it's doing that. Alright. The route knew better. I really do wish, though. I really do wish that there was a way to, eventually, in a future patch or something, like, I don't know exactly how people are, what do you call it? putting in for ideas, suggestion boards, emails. I don't know how they're contacting Frontier with ideas or feedback. Like I said, I've played this a long time, but I rarely dig into games stuff, like their ins and outs and their behind-the-scenes things. I usually just pick them up and play them and figure them out, or Google stuff. Or, ever since I have my YouTube channel, I ask for comments, and sometimes people respond and sometimes they don't. But usually, because I've had a few comments before where it was like, you've been playing this so long, how do you not know this already? Well, I've mentioned it before, but it doesn't really hurt to bring it back up, that, you know, I'm not one of these that wrote the strategy guide or something like that to these games. I've just played them a long time. I enjoy them, so I play them, but I'm not really digging into the behind the scenes and contacting developers and all that kind of stuff. Well, the exception... no, it's really not an exception. I was going to say the exception might be space engineers, because I have contacted the devs and stuff for various different things, but I still never really dug into the behind the scenes. I'm not one of these, like, you know, when they do an update video and then they're like, special thanks to this user for fixing one of our problems that we couldn't figure out how to fix. You know, that's not me. I'm not one of those modder people that have dug into the game. So it's a little bit of an exception because I have talked to the devs before about different things. But it's not like I'm getting, like, exclusive interviews and you know, if you want information on space engineers, you come to my channel. You know, I don't really have anything that I'm that versed on. I'd like to be, I guess. I just don't really take the time to get into one game. You know, for those of you that may not know, if I haven't said it in a video or something, I'm a very... Woo! Going way too fast, way too fast, way too fast, way too fast. Sorry, I just saw the tail of the neutron star flying at my face. But yeah, I'm a very diverse gamer. I play all kinds of games. There are a few exceptions, mostly genres of things. Oh, come on. See, this is what slows you down about the neutron routes. It's not that they don't jump faster, it's the time it takes you to get the jump boost and stuff, that if you're not real skilled at just kind of like fly right through the tail and pick it up and go, it can end up taking you a little bit longer that you could do a couple normal jumps and catch up and make up the difference. I think it's a preference thing too. Like I've said before, if I was watching Netflix and not really paying attention or something, I would probably not use a neutron route, because you kind of have to pay attention. Unless what you're watching you don't really care. You know, that makes a difference too. But if you're actually trying to pay more attention and you just fly blindly, you can get away with a lot more on just a normal route plotting. But anyways, back to what I was saying. There's a few genres that there's a couple of games in those genres I play. But beyond them, I'm not very versed in them. One right off the top of my head would be RTS, real-time strategy games. I've played Command & Conquer since I was a kid. I mean, like, I've played a lot of the different Command & Conquers over the years. But honestly, I get more into the theme of the game. Like, when they did a Star Wars one, I liked that one, but it was freaking hard. For any of you that played Empire at War, good gravy. That was one of the hardest RTS games I've ever played. And I mean, I've played a few of them, and I'm not terrible at them. I'm not a huge fan of them either. Well, that was interesting. I actually went out the tail. I ran out of room. Haven't done that very often. Yeah, I'm no, you know, expert MLG pro or anything, but I can hold my own in an RTS game unless I'm going up against somebody who's crazy. But there's the Empire at War for Star Wars was ridiculous. Like, it was hard. So I got to where I really wasn't that big of a fan of it. The other one, I have a hard time considering it an RTS game, but Civilizations is another one that kind of one of those Command & Conquer or probably Civ if you were going to see me play an RTS game, it would probably be one of those. I have... I got it on a Steam sale. There was a game that came out a while back. It was something like Total Annihilation or something like that, and it was a big, like, a planetary annihilation, I think is what it's called, maybe. I like how I came up with an epiphany and then still wasn't sure if that was right. It was like, ah, this might be it. But yeah, so... I have that, never played it. I think I might even have the expansion to it, never played it. The Titans or something. I don't know. Anyways, I'm just not a big RTS person. Like, I play them when the theme is fun, but it can be a little tedious for me. I'm a little more in the moment kind of player, like when like Elite, where you're piloting something or you're playing your character or something to that extent. A little bit more focus rather than big broad scale. I mean, like I said, I'm not averse to them. They're just not really my forte as far as... I'm not going to be like, RTS games, you know. The other one... I think my 3 weakest genres... 4, I just thought of another one, is going to be, probably, like, RTS games is probably lower, but still in my weaker genres of things I don't really play. Racing games, because I like racing games, but I have a very specific couple of franchises that I play. I'm not like a NASCAR type person. Need for Speed and basically Gran Turismo, they're pretty much all I ever played in terms of racing games. And Gran Turismo, I play Gran Turismo basically because a good friend of mine, Caden Red Pearl, is ecstatic about Gran Turismo. He loves that game. And kind of pulled me into it because we both like Need for Speed. So because we both like Need for Speed, he kind of pulled me into Gran Turismo. But I suck at that game. Like, I am awful at Gran Turismo. Like, there will be no boasting or anything. If I ever challenge anyone, I'll be like, you know, I'm never betting anyone anything because I know I'm going to lose. I'm awful at that game. I like the game. I love the being able to, like, tweak the cars and all that kind of stuff. But quite frankly, I'm not very versed in cars, so I like that it gives you the ability to tweak it. I don't know what I'm tweaking, you know? It's like, oh, you need an overhead suspension torque module thingy, and you're like, uh-huh, that. One of those. I knew that, you know? So racing's a weak one for me, even though I like it. That's the thing, I like Need for Speed and stuff. I've had a lot of fun with those games and things, but overall... You know, I'm not one of those that, like, I have one Call of Duty and, like, 6 different car games. You know, it's just not me. I play Need for Speed, I play Gran Turismo, but beyond that, meh. You know, I'm not really into all the Forzas or NASCARs or Forza. Is it Forza or Forza? I never can get it right. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. Or, you know, any kind of the, like, normal sports type racing games, things like that. Never played like the Drive Club and all those stuff. It's just like I grew up on a couple of those franchises, and they're kind of hooked now into me. But they're not really my thing. Ooh, I gotta get some fuel. This is bad. I'm gonna supercharge it, but we gotta... I don't know about this. Whoop, slow down. Don't outrun it. Sweet. Woo, that was good. That's how you do it right there. Get right at the tail and let it hold you there. That was awesome. Alright. So now let's see if we can find a place without running out of gas. I was not paying attention. I got talking. What do you guys distract me for? See, stuff like that could make it very, very dangerous if you were not paying attention. Where is my next bookmark? Oh, it's down here. Okay, so let's see about you. You'll do. Now, how about fuel? Ooh. We might have to do some normal jumps. I cut it a little too close. I don't like that. I'm gonna have to jump a little further back. I messed up. I done messed up. How's that? Dang it. I can't really tell. It might allow us to make that jump. I just really don't like how close that's cutting it. I really messed up on that one. Because that's gonna hurt my time. Whoops. Alright, there I can see a little bit of the orange there, which means we'll have enough. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like I arrived and then ran out of fuel, blew up, and died.
Frameshift drive charging.
So I wanted to make sure there was a little bit left over. But yeah, so that, and ironically enough, fighting games is another one that I don't really get into. I like Tekken, and I like Soul Calibur. I've played other ones, but those are the only ones that I actually like take notice of when they come out. I can't say I own either of them. I usually gamefly them or something, play them a little bit and send it back. Well, okay, I guess Dragon Ball Xenoverse is another one. It's technically considered a fighter, but Xenoverse and Xenoverse 2 have kind of changed the overall structure. It's not really like the Budokais anymore, where, you know, you have, like, all this, you don't have, like, the, you know, left side of screen, right side of screen, round one, fight, go kind of thing. It's more of a... I think if you actually look up the genres that it's classified under, I think it's classified as a brawler now, which is where you can have more than one enemy, and you can have people on your side and all that kind of crap. I tell you what, though, I'm going to take a little bit of a break here and let my ship refuel and all that, and I will be back momentarily. Okay, so we are back. I went ahead and jumped to the next neutron star, so we'll keep going. And I have to admit, I actually had a couple of things that came up in the middle of that interim where I had to take care of a few things, so it's been a minute. I totally forgot what we were talking about, but that's probably okay, because I don't think it was anything super important anyway. I think it was something about games and genres. Probably my preferred genres and things of that nature. One thing that I did want to bring up is I saw, just before I started recording today, these seem way too close together. I think I accidentally marked this one. I don't think that's supposed to be a mark. Unless I can't make it to this one. I think that might have been a residual bookmark. I don't know. Anyways, right before I started recording, though, I was looking in the news type section on Steam for Elite, and I noticed it wasn't... At first I got really excited because I thought they were saying version 2.3 or whatever it is was coming out. Like out kind of thing, like an update note type of thing. That wasn't the case. It was actually talking about the upcoming update. And I was like, oh, darn. But in reading it, I got kind of excited because I guess it's the multi-crew update to where you'll be able to join in with other friends and wingmen and stuff like that and pilot bigger ships together. And it sounds really interesting the way that they have it set up as far as... I thought it was really neat that you can jump in at any point. I don't know if it said you had to be at a station or not. I want to say it didn't say that, actually. I feel like I'm way too close. I don't know. Maybe it's just my paranoia. But it was like you can jump in to another players from any point. At least if I read this right, from any point, like as in they can be across the galaxy kind of thing. Which I was like, that's kind of cool. And so that was kind of a neat idea. And then they said stuff like little things that they actually thought pretty... Seems like they thought through pretty well was what I was going for.
Frameshift drive
Stuff
charging.
like if you're in a multi-crew, the host owner of the ship, if you do like bounty hunts or combat bonds or anything like that, any money-making opportunities, it will duplicate them for crew members of the ship. I wasn't sure how they were going to do that. But any infractions incurred will also be duplicated, and then when they jump out of your ship and go back to their own ship, they have the option of basically not taking the penalty or the crimes or whatever you want to call it, infractions, at the expense of whatever bonds, credits, bounties they've made while they were flying as part of the multi-crew. So it's like you basically have to take both or none. But it's an interesting system, I think, because it does incur like penalties and stuff to keep it balanced, to where it's not just like, hey, I can make tons of money and never have to worry about what I'm doing because I'm on some multi-crew. But at the same time, it also allows you to make stuff, but it's like, you have to basically weigh your options as far as the host owner pilot may not care about some infractions. You might not have enough to cover it, so then you don't get to take any of them, or, it's an interesting system that kind of has a checks and balances kind of system to it, which I thought was cool. But the bigger thing that I got excited for was, I guess, this update, even though it's subject to change because it hasn't come out yet, so they were saying, everything in their release notes where they were discussing it may not end up being the final release look of how it comes out, or it may not all come out in that way, that kind of thing. It's all subject to change. But supposedly this new update is going to include the pilot creator, which I was like, yay! Because if you think about it, there's only a few things that are really holding back the whole No Man's Sky ability of get out of your ship and walk around and explore different places. One of them being, you can tell that there's already a model for the character that moves around and does things, but like third-person angle, there's nothing, identifiable about your character or anything like that. So I think that's one of the big steps towards being able to walk around your own ship and all that kind of stuff, is being able to make your own character. That it shows that they're also focused on character development and improvements and optimizations and functionality for the model, for the character. So it bodes well for the whole explorative, walking around kind of Mass Effect-iness type of thing. I gotta tell you, I'm used to the first person, obviously, because there's no other view you can have in this game at the moment. But if they eventually let you, once the character creator's involved, I don't know if it'll be in the same update or not. Probably not, but I would expect not. But because that in and of itself is a pretty big feature to add, that I'm not expecting too much more on top of that between multi-crew and character creator. I mean, that's a lot in one update. Of big changes, not just like, hey, by the way, we've added a little button over here that lets you balance. Those are some big things that took a lot of time to implement. But the multi-crew thing is another indicator, if you think about it, because it means you can look over and see another character. So they're improving or optimizing or, again, putting functionality in there to support the idea of being able to move around your ship and interact with things and, stuff like that. It's like the building blocks, foundations, too fast. The foundations are getting put in place a little bit at a time, but they're there. But that was one of those things when I first got into the beta of this. There's been a lot of comparison and discussion between Elite and Star Citizen. Actually, there's been kind of... Oh, come on, really? This is just not wanting me to get my speed boost right now. Actually, I think Star Citizen being the what is it, like the #1 most funded or highest funded project on Kickstarter, you know, all that kind of stuff. I think it shot it towards the stratosphere of things to compare it to in that genre, because quite frankly, Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous came out around the same time in terms of their early access stages where people could play them. They were both playable. Actually, if my memory serves, I believe Elite was playable before Star Citizen. And it actually, it's a little confusing in a way in terms of which one's grounded in more gaming heritage, if you will. Because Star Citizen is made, if my memory serves, and I could be getting all of this wrong, so, you know, don't take this as like CNN news or something. If you hear this and it doesn't sound right, go look it up and double check me, because I'm probably wrong if it doesn't sound right. But if my memory serves, the guy that is behind the main, well, I say the guy, but the main mind behind Star Citizen was the guy that was also the main mind behind projects like Wing Commander and stuff like that, which go back a long ways in PC gaming, and when video gaming started to first become a thing. But at the same time, so some people would say, you know, it's like, well, it has roots, but Star Citizen itself doesn't really. It's developed by the same person, but from my understanding, it's basically being made as an original title. I don't believe it has any direct ties to anything Wing Commander-y or the like. Elite, on the other hand, is another interesting story, that it was around, I think, before. Because my point to that was, some people may argue, well, you know, Star Citizen has the guy behind Wing Commander, so it has more of like a popularity backing because there's more fans. But the truth of that, I don't know if that's actually accurate, because Elite was another old franchise from way back in the day, and I'm not 100% sure that it wasn't out before stuff like Wing Commander ever came out, because the original Elite was, man, it was bad looking nowadays. When you look back at it, it's like the asteroid style of like using lines to make the models and stuff rather than having like an actual model and things. So it was old. So actually, I would argue, or I would hazard a guess, is what I was trying to say, that Elite actually has older roots in gaming than even Star Citizen, Elite, and Wing Commander and stuff like that. So to say that, you know, well, Star Citizen is more popular or something because, or I shouldn't say more popular, I should say more known, because you'll hear about stuff like you heard about them when they first came out, both together, comparing Elite to Star Citizen and vice versa. But once Elite actually came out of early access and was like, hey, we're released, we're done, honestly, unless you kept up with it, and like this, if you're watching YouTube videos or if you're playing it yourself, you don't find it a lot on like gaming networks or news networks and websites and things. I don't see a lot of, hey, Elite came out with a new update, as opposed to there's a new module in Star Citizen. And that was kind of what I was getting at as far as the, why is this bookmarked? I have a bunch of bookmarks that aren't neutron stars. I don't know what I was thinking. Actually, we're going to run into the same problem again. So what I'm going to do, rather than derp it up again, is we're going to jump to a star close to this one that we're shooting for, and then we'll probably wrap this episode up at this point, because we're about at our 30-minute mark. And we're out of fuel. So, but yeah, my point to all of that was that I think Star Citizen has been more publicly investigated or learned about. I don't know what the proper term would be, but known about. More people probably know about what's going on with it than Elite, other than the people that are still playing it. And so Star Citizen has gotten compared to a lot of things. When No Man's Sky came out, it was like No Man's Sky versus Star Citizen. When Elite and Star Citizen were coming out, They were like neck and neck compared to. And I've always said both games looked phenomenally interesting and awesome at the same time. Like, the graphics and stuff behind Star Citizen is amazing, and truth be told, Elite is too. I mean, I think there is more shiny objects, if you will, in Star Citizen as far as, like, different ships and stuff, basically. But as far as, like, the actual what's there, I think Elite looks pretty darn similar, to be honest, but both look amazing. But I've always thought Elite was a more complete package. And I don't mean like in terms of features, I mean Star Citizen is being developed in a modular system. And so the modules make things feel a little bit disjointed to me. And this is all my opinion, because I've never actually played it, so I can't speak to how it plays now or anything like that. But when I was researching the two games, the model that Star Citizen was using, where it was like the combat module is out now, and you can select it and play that, or you can select this module. It just felt more like demos and previews, whereas Elite always had a feel of more of a complete game feeling, like everything worked together and it all kind of flowed into one package kind of thing. And then like with the character creator or the multi-crew, they would like add an update that would bring a new feature or something like that to the already kind of stable package kind of thing. I'll be very curious to see how Star Citizen plays and compares once it reaches that same setup. And again, I haven't really checked into it in a long time. I know they made a lot of progress and stuff, so it could be at that point at this point. But I've always heard a lot of like which one's better and stuff, and I don't really know that there is, because they're so similar in terms of their genres of being open space exploration and piloting simulators and all this kind of stuff. But yet they're kind of doing things a different way. Like, for example, I don't think Star Citizen, from what I've seen, is focused nearly as much on stuff like trading and economy, whereas that was always kind of Elite's thing. It was almost like a stock market trading simulator kind of thing, and stuff like that. So because they're kind of tackling it from two different angles, but it's the same coin, I don't know that there is a, they tried to do the same thing, but this one's just better. I don't know that there's really a thing like that. To me, they both look really fun. I just was always vested in Elite at this point, so I just really didn't get into Star Citizen yet. I've always wanted to, but I was waiting for it to reach a completed state, or a more complete playable state, if you will. But that's just me, and again, that's all stuff that I've seen. I could have missed a lot of updates on the one and not the other, blah, blah, blah. But I started to say that I think you have things that are starting to blur genres. Stuff like No Man's Sky, Star Citizen, Elite Dangerous. They're all kind of trying to do this persistent, galaxy-wide, huge world, and then you can do whatever you want. You can get in and out of places. Now with the Foundation update, No Man's Sky lets you build your own base. Star Citizen, you're supposed to be able to, like, eventually get like a big ship that holds your fighters, and like they're all trying to do these massive undertakings kind of thing. So it's really cool, but I'm liking, there's only a few things that I could see holding Elite back at this point in terms of reaching where they're wanting to go with it. And I'm glad to see they're doing stuff like character creation and multi-crew, because it lets me know that internally they're trying to lay little at a time foundations for the eventual stuff that they want to do with it. And when Elite and Star Citizen both get all of their features that they want, I have no idea. I highly doubt they'll even look like the same games that they looked like when they started, or even now, because they have a lot of features that they want to do. But anyways, that's going to do it for this. I'm sure you're done listening to me talk, so we're going to wrap things up here. In the meantime, I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.